Today I wanted to talk about some of the things that I got wrong about Canadian marijuana stocks. So I've been uploading videos for about 9 months now, and some of my older videos have been recently getting a good amount of flack because people have been going back and looking at my videos and basically bragging now that they've made a lot of money about how I got everything wrong. And that's what I want to revisit and basically talk about. So this video, Canadian marijuana stocks, why you shouldn't buy them right now, is the video that I've been getting a good amount of flack on. And I uploaded this video at the end of April, so at about right here on the chart. This is when I uploaded it. And I basically told people that if you wanted to invest into some of these Canadian marijuana stocks, you shouldn't invest into them right now, which is the end of April. But what you should do is you should rather wait until these stocks drop even more, finally hit their bottom, and then kind of level out. And you should probably invest into them once they start going back up again. And that was my prediction. And I made a timeline that I thought would be more or less accurate, and I thought that these stocks would start going back up at the end of this year or early next year, so early 2018. And my timeline was off. I was correct about these stocks falling even more and then eventually leveling out, but they went up much quicker than I originally expected. So the majority of this was because the Constellation Brands buying a 13%, I believe it was 13%, but Constellation Brands bought a 13% stake in Canopy Growth, and that pretty much sent the entire sector flying about 20-25%. And then after that, we also had this news that Canadian House of Commons, they approved the bill to legalize cannabis. This was November 27th, and that sent these stocks flying another about 20% or so, right? Where was this? This was like right here somewhere, but this also sent these stocks in the green quite a bit. Now they are falling a little bit. Well, not really. They're not really falling. They're just, these stocks are highly volatile right now, but that's what's been happening lately. And so the thing that I got wrong is I got wrong the timeline with these stocks. And back in April, what I originally thought is I thought that people would be valuing these companies based on their fundamentals, or at least I thought that fundamentals of these companies would play a large portion in terms of their evaluations. So I understand that people, when looking at this industry, people are looking at this industry and basically seeing it as an alcohol industry in this infancy. So if you invested into the alcohol industry after Prohibition, you would have made a lot of money. And you have a similar thing here where marijuana has a lot of medical uses, a lot of recreational uses, and it's basically being legalized after being illegal for quite a while. And it's, you know, industries, you have a big black market, which a large portion of it is soon going to become a real market that you could actually invest into and you can actually gain profits from. And some companies, the companies that get into this early, are probably going to make a lot of money, or at least you're going to be able to make a lot of money by investing into them and having their stock price go up as everything develops. So that's why a lot of people are investing in these companies. And I originally thought that this would be the case, but of course people would be tied down to their fundamentals at least a little bit. So I thought that the fundamentals of these companies would matter to people at least somewhat. And I'm not saying that they don't, but it seems to me the case that people are much more readily people are investing into these companies because of the idea much more than the fundamentals. So that's what I think is happening. What I think is happening is something that's similar to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is currently at $11,500, $11,600 more or less. And it's gone up a lot over the past month. And Bitcoin, what it's currently having, I think at least partially, is Bitcoin has a price memory. So if you're unfamiliar with this term, basically if you bought Bitcoin about 2 weeks ago for $8,000, at $8,000 Bitcoin about 2 weeks ago, that was the normal price, right? But as Bitcoin goes up to like $10,000, all of a sudden $8,000 is really, really cheap. And there's tons of people who are willing to buy Bitcoin for $8,000 when Bitcoin is priced at $10,000. And as Bitcoin goes up to $11,500, there's tons of people who are willing to buy Bitcoin for $10,000. And basically this keeps on driving up the price for a while. Now, of course, there's other factors. There's a lot behind Bitcoin. It's not just, people are saying that it's a bubble. It certainly looks like a bubble. I'm not going to comment on Bitcoin, but marijuana stocks have a similar, or at least part of that similar phenomenon where, you know, if you look at Canopy Growth, At October, $13 was the normal price, but once it spiked to $16, all of a sudden $13 seems really cheap, and there's a ton of people who would be willing to buy for $13 given the opportunity. And as it goes from $16 to $20, a lot of people are looking at this, and all of a sudden $16 seems really cheap, and people are willing to buy for $16. So because of this sort of a price memory that I think that these stocks have as well, I don't think that these stocks are going to be going down significantly anytime soon. There's just too many people, I think, that are willing to buy them up if they fall significantly. Now, if we're not going to be seeing a lot of news, or if bad news comes out, obviously they're going to fall a lot. But as long as decent news keeps on coming out, I think that these stocks will keep on going up pretty much until legalization. And then after that, I'm not sure what's going to be happening. But I think that that's the case here. And this is something that I did not expect to happen to this sort of an extent. Originally, when I looked at these stocks, I thought that they would be tied down a little bit more to their fundamentals. And I thought that about from these points right here, from about $10 for Canopy Growth, for example, I thought that maybe the stock would double over the course of the next year, maybe year and a half, maybe triple. Aurora, I thought this stock could certainly get to $8. I have a video about this stock probably being able to go to $8. And it did go to $8, except I expected it to go to $8 over the course of about 2 years, not 6 months. So that was definitely a surprise. But I did not expect the simple fact of news to be able to push these stocks several 100% after that's already happened in 2016. And what I underestimated, the mistake that I originally made was I heavily underestimated the amount of people that were not willing to invest into a lot of these stocks because they saw them as very, very risky. So a lot of people look at these sorts of news, and these sorts of news reduce the amount of risk that is in these stocks significantly. And to me, news like this is not really surprising. I expect it to happen. I think that the chances of marijuana being legalized in Canada are fairly good. I don't think that it will fail, or at least I think that it failing has a very low chance. If anything, it might get delayed, but straight up fail, I think that's a very low chance. I think that for the most part, the chances are fairly high that it will get passed. But a lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of people believe that there's a lot of risk in this sorts of stuff. So whenever this news actually does come out, apparently a lot of people actually, for them, that's a major risk changer. So all of a sudden, the risk gets significantly reduced in these stocks, and they go up a lot because people are actually willing to invest into them. Similarly, when a large company like Corona Beer invests into Canopy Growth, the company is seen as much more legit, and because of that, people are buying into them. And I just didn't think that people were this afraid to invest into these companies. I thought that this was a little bit more accepted by then, and it doesn't seem like it's the case. And I think that this plus the price memory is really driving it up. I just never expected the news to be such a large factor in driving these companies up. I expected it to drive up these companies at about 2 times, but not this quickly and not this much. I never expected somebody like Aurora to go up 200% because some nice news came out. Like, I just didn't expect that to happen. So seeing this, it seems like I majorly underestimated the amount of risk that other people believed that these stocks had. And maybe perhaps that's because I spent too much time on the Reddit, and I kind of got used to people being fairly confident about investing into these companies. I probably should have went and looked at communities who were not confident about these stocks and gotten a little bit of a better sense in terms of what normal people believe these stocks to be at. So that was my error in predicting some of these stocks. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully I explained that a bit. I ramble for quite a bit in these videos because I don't know exactly how to put it, or at least not as well as some other people perhaps might. Let me know if this helps. Let me know if I should do more of these. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. If not, then I did a very bad job at explaining this, but let me know. Let me know what I get wrong, but I think it's a fair criticism to say that I got some of this wrong, but people have not been pointing out the fact that my expectations for the news have been wrong, but instead just I'm not going to go there. I'm not really salty about people saying that I got stuff wrong. I like looking and seeing what I got wrong, and I think that it's very useful to evaluate and see what you got wrong and adjust that in the future. So yeah, let me know what you think.